Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla, and for today's video, we are going to be addressing my CNBC Millennial Money video. I feel like I have quite a bit to cover, but I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. I will put timestamps down below, so if you want to skip around and go to the things that you want to watch, feel free to do so. But of course, I am gonna address the budget breakdown that they put in the video, as well as a lot of things that I saw in the comments. So first of all, I did apply for CNBC Millennial Money, but that was in August, I think, of 2020. So back in 2020, I submitted a video. I can't even remember the whole process. I think I had to fill out maybe like a form and submit some stuff, and then I had to create a video. It was like 2-3 minutes long, and sent that to them. It's like uploaded onto this channel, but just as unlisted, so only people with the link can see that video. Obviously, for the last 2 years or so, I have not been on Millennial Money, but then in February 2022, I randomly received an email about my inquiry. So they were asking if I was still interested, if I was if the stuff in the video was still relevant. And at first I was like, okay, maybe this is a scam, or I don't know, like if this is the correct people, but I did see that in their email address, it looked legit. It said, you know, the NBC, I'm not going to give what it is, but the NBC, it looked correct. So I looked up these people on the website and they were there. So I was like, okay, this is legit. I emailed back like, absolutely, I'm still interested, because that is great promo for my channel. Plus it's just a really cool opportunity. And for me, that's like one of the most exciting things that has ever happened. So I was like, absolutely, let's do this. So I had to go through a series of calls. The first one was like a very long interview. I think it was over an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour. And they were just asking me a bunch of questions about my finances, about my story, and they were using all of that information to kind of like create the story that they would be using for my video, as well as the questions they would be asking me. This all happened very quickly, by the way. So I was emailed, I think I got an email on February 14th. Just a few days later, like that Friday, 5 days later, I had to do the interview, like the video interview. And then a few days later, I think it was a Tuesday, I think the 22nd or something, I ended up having another call with I think he's the producer, and this was where I went through the budget. So I gave him my numbers. He actually had like a list of things that he was going to go through. So I was trying my best to coordinate like how I spend my money, you know, because I group my spending in a certain way versus how they group their spending. So I tried to organize everything before I hopped on this call. And during that call, I also had to show proof. So I had to show him like my statements. I was like logging into my Roth IRA to show him how much I put each month, my current net worth, my savings, all this stuff. And I also had to send documents and screenshots of my numbers to make sure everything was legit. We will come back to the budget though, because this was all very confusing. So keep in mind that this was in February. I was still at my previous job, and the video uploaded while I was in my current job. So yeah, we'll come back to that and I will address all of the numbers, but just keep in mind that that was kind of an issue, because that's where a lot of confusion and I think a lot of the mistakes were made. Again, as I said, this was happening all just like really quickly, and they had asked me like, can you film ASAP? Can you film the week of blah, blah, blah? And I ended up filming that Friday. So it was the 22, 23, 24, 25, the 25th. And this was a full day of filming. I had to take off work. I was still at my previous job. That was actually like my second to last day at that job. They also were asking me a lot of questions, so they got to know me quite a bit beforehand, and they knew that Sebastian, my boyfriend, is a big part of my life, so they asked if he could be there. So he also ended up taking off of work, because we started, the freelancer got here at like 8 a.m. He came to my apartment, and we didn't finish filming for the day until like 7. I don't know, it was late. It was like a 12-hour day. I did vlog this day, like I filmed my day, and I will be putting that up probably on my other channel because that's where I, share more of my day-to-day life. But in that video, you'll see more of the behind the scenes, and you can like meet the freelancer very briefly, but I do show him. Yeah, so the freelancer, awesome. He was super friendly. I do think he had some like issues. There were several times that we ran into some issues, like the cameras were shutting off, or there were just multiple issues. There's a lot of equipment. So on the day of filming, he was setting up, he was doing lots of B-roll. So on his own, he was doing lots of B-roll, like getting shots. If you saw like the panning of my books or my plants or just like random stuff, he got a lot more than obviously you see in the video because he was just going above and beyond. And then there was like filming equipment all around my apartment because, they have to set up the lights. They had to set up the front camera, the side camera. He had like a big laptop stand because they were doing the interview that way. And then he just had a lot of different accessories and camera equipment because that's what videographers have. Filming the B-roll was pretty straightforward. It was a lot. Like we had to go to the gym. We ended up going to Pont City and like the Beltline and filming there as well. I even like purchased something for the video, but they didn't even end up using any of that. So it was just like a waste of paying for parking, a waste of paying for food, a waste of time in regards to that. There was like some B-roll filmed of me watering the plants, which you saw, me cutting food, which they did not use. They ended up pulling from my personal videos, which is fine. Yeah, there was just tons of filming. And then of course that day we also did the interview. So the way it works is the people who I spoke to before, they were set up on a Zoom on the laptop, and that was placed in front of me, but I wasn't supposed to be looking at them to be filming. I had to look at the camera. They asked me questions and I answered. Obviously in the video you don't hear them asking questions, so it's as if I'm just talking. I was extremely anxious about the interview, and I was not happy with how the interview turned out. Actually, I didn't get to see any of it, but it was like an hour and a half long of talking. Lots and lots of questions. Some of them I didn't expect. They didn't give me the questions they were gonna ask beforehand. So I was just like there were questions about my childhood or just things that I barely even remember, like how I was as a child or how I was in high school and like right before college. It was just things that it kind of threw me off. So it was difficult to answer some of the questions. And I was in front of a bit of an audience, so there were the two people on the Zoom call as well as the freelancer. My boyfriend was here as well. So typically it's just me and the camera, so I can mess up as I want to. It's not as nerve-wracking because it's just, me and the camera, like nobody else is here, I'm by myself. So I was very, very nervous about it, and just at the end of the interview, I was very upset about how it turned out, and it honestly was like I started like losing sleep, stressing out about how I just wanted to answer things in the best way. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't made up or anything of that sort. I just wanted to make sure I got everything across as I usually think. But when you're being interviewed, you tend to like forget things, or it just feels weird to keep talking about yourself, and it was just pretty exhausting. Okay, so that was day one. I had to submit some photos, had to sign some paperwork, blah, blah, blah. And then I got an email saying that there were some technical issues and we had to refilm the whole interview. I was low-key pissed, but at the same time I was like, oh, thank goodness, because I get a second chance at my interview. I'm now more prepared. I kind of have an idea of what the questions are. They still wouldn't send me the questions, but we went through the whole interview process, and that filming day was when, let me see. So the first interview took place on February 25th. I was at my old job. The second interview took place March 14th, which was a Monday. So I had to take a half day off of work. It was just like a few hours. I stopped working at 2 o'clock. The freelancer got here at 1, was setting up, same idea. It was the same freelancer. And I was happy to get a second chance at the interview, but it was still like, it still makes you nervous to talk in front of people. This time I was only being interviewed by one person, and then the freelancer was there. So 2 people less. I felt a lot better about the interview. I did have a mic on my neck. You can see it in the video, but the audio, there were clearly more technical issues even on the second filming day. It's not my problem. It's not my fault. the video is fine, it's whatever, but that was a bit upsetting because the audio sounded awful. I'm not sure what ended up happening, but yeah, it seemed that there were there were some more technical issues, and if they would have asked me to do a third interview, I honestly probably wouldn't have done it. So yes, they kept that. That second interview was another hour and a half. And so as you can imagine, they got tons of clips of me talking, sharing my story. And then the actual video is only like 7 minutes and some change long. So of course I was talking about way more things in the video, but they do need to narrow it down. Personally, I think they could have added more, like instead of a 7-minute video, it could have been 10 minutes, or I mean, I think the video had a pretty good amount of things in it, like it covered a wide variety of topics, but I did talk about a lot more, as you can imagine, in my hour and a half interview. So we did the interview, and then that day we also shot some more B-roll. We did get some more of me like watering the plants, cutting fruit in my kitchen, me like pulling food out of my refrigerator, the cool driving clips that they got. The freelancer did that. It was pretty, I remember filming that, and it was just like really funny because we were like, they better use these clips, because he like attached the camera with a like suction. It was like really nerve-wracking because it was about to fall, and he like put it on my window and everything. So I was glad to see some of those clips used, but obviously again, tons of clips that he filmed for B-roll were not used. We did get more shots in the gym. We got shots like of me walking. They didn't put any of those. They had asked a lot and kept bringing up a lot of things about like what I like to do outside of work and outside of finances. And I'm not sure why that was questioned so much, because they didn't even end up using it. And they also wanted like tons of B-roll of me doing those things, like reading, walking, watering the plants, spending time with my boyfriend. They barely used like any of those clips. Making coffee. Yeah, so they did have a very long list of things that they wanted, and then, you know, they picked and chose a very small amount. But yeah, that was that. All in all, it was a cool experience. I had a fun time. I really liked the freelancer. He was really awesome. And as you saw, a lot of his work was pretty good. So yeah, there were some audio issues, but he was still great. So I don't want to discredit him for that. But let me go back to the budget. So we had that budget call, and I have my notebook here, which is where I write everything. But I have the day that I spoke with him. So I have everything listed here that I gave him. And this isn't, as I was talking to him, I realized like more things needed to be added here. So if you see like my subscriptions, I only put 14, but then I was like, oh, I also have Spotify, but I pay annually. So I had to like divide it by 12 and add that on. So this isn't like exactly what I gave him, but this is what I was working off of. And then you can see here, I was calculating like my pre-tax income, my post-tax income, and I was going based off of my post-tax. So I didn't talk about paying taxes. I didn't, paying for insurance. I didn't include that because at the time, on average, I made about $5,511, and that is after paying insurance, after like paying for taxes. Basically, they wanted to have this budget based off of January 2022. I was giving these numbers though based off of the average of all of my spending for 2021. And my income for 2021 was about $81,000. However, since it was based off of like January, this was the number that we discussed, 82,000-ish. And he confirmed that as well. So he was like, I had to send him, my proof of income and all of these things. And he said, we see your income at about 82,000. I was like, yes, that sounds about right. So yes, there is some confusion. The other thing that I kind of briefly mentioned is that we started filming this. We had this discussion at my previous job. They were very aware that I was switching careers. Obviously, they made a point to, show that in the video. That was one big thing that I wanted them to show more of, like why I transitioned careers and how I did that, and they didn't put that in the video. But yes, so that was a bit confusing because my numbers did go down technically, but we were going based off of January 2022, and that was at my previous job. So we're gonna talk about what they put in the video for my budget, and I'm gonna show you what I think it should be. or like what it should be. And I actually redid all the numbers. So I will tell you the numbers I gave him, and then last night I was kind of adding things up and like, okay, let me see. And I will give you the accurate number based off of 2021. So the first one, rent and utilities, they put as $1,640. I have no clue where that number came from. Maybe next month that will be the case, but like for the most recent time, even currently, I gave the number 1,564 because this includes my rent, trash, pest, Wi-Fi, electricity, and water and sewage. I took an average of all those utilities for the year and then added it to my rent, and that was 1,564. That is what I had written down. That's even accurate to this day. So like I averaged the last 3 months. That is accurate. So I'm not sure where like the additional $80 comes in. Now, the next item that should have been listed, since it looks like they're going off of my gross income, should have been taxes. So I didn't give this information because I was giving my post-tax income and spending. So for taxes, it should be $1,200 added onto here, okay? That would be like my next largest expense. It would have made a lot more sense if they just simply added that. I would have felt a little bit better. But anyways, next was discretionary income, and they put $1,008 and said that this included entertainment, travel, clothing, charitable donations, pet expenses. Now, what I gave during our first initial call, I think I said like $200. Now, I recalculated things last night. That's probably not the case either. Like, it's not that low. So I went through and added what they would count as discretionary spending. So this would include entertainment, donations, the dogs, my phone bill, because they didn't include my phone bill in my budget for some reason, personal spending, gifts, parking, travel, and then like extra learning. If we add all that up, I will say we are a lot higher. So I would say about $750 on average. However, that's not always accurate, but I would be happier with $750. I know that's still pretty high. I would say $800 at the most. I genuinely don't know where the 1,008 came from though. And yeah, I have no clue. Next, they put my student loans as 1,000. That's almost right. I had initially given him 1,100 because that's about, like, if you take an average of how much I've saved, it's 1,100. Obviously, I've been saving for my student loans, not actively paying them down. They weren't about to put that in there because like that would just cause way more confusion than they are, like that's already happening. But I remember he did end up emailing me and asked, like, I remember him asking about the student loans, and I think I ended up saying 1,000, but I initially had said 1,100, and it should be 1,100, but 1,000's okay. Next is insurance that they put at $707, which I don't know where this number came from. I told them my insurance was $91, and that was for car insurance and renter's insurance. Now, I don't know, I'm thinking that because I had submitted like my pay stubs, he saw that my insurance through my previous job was $546, but they put on here that this was renter's, life, auto, and health insurance, and I remember him specifically asking me if I had life insurance, and I said no. So I do not have life insurance. I did, but I canceled that back in September or October. So for January and for several months, I have not had life insurance, so that should not be included here. And I don't know where the 707 came from, because if we were to be doing my gross budget, gross income, my health insurance at the time was $546, my car insurance $84, my renter's insurance $7. So if you add that up, that's $637. So it should have said $637 or just the 91. And now I pay a total of $97 for my insurance, including my health insurance at my current job. Savings, $700. This is accurate because I remember he asked me this, and I just counted my emergency fund savings as well as savings for a new car. Everything else that I save for, like all of my sinking funds, I counted toward discretionary spending. So I guess that's where all of that came into play. I think that's where the 1,008 came from at some point. But I guess that makes a little bit more sense because, yeah, I save a decent amount toward each of my sinking funds, and that would be considered discretionary. Investments. $610 is what they put. No. So at the time, I did not have a 401k, so that should not have been included on here. In the video, I did mention, like, going forward, I will be contributing $300 per month to my 401k, but that was with my new job. So at the time, I gave the number of $310 because I was doing $300 to my Roth and $10 of crypto, and that should only be Roth, IRA, and crypto that they explain here. Food, $400, that's accurate. Business, $150, that is accurate. Transportation, they put $97. I have no clue where $97 came from. I gave the number of $50, and I would say that's still the case because I literally get one oil change a year. That's been the case for a couple of years now. I get gas once a month, and yeah, recently it's been a little bit more expensive, but like at the time of filming, it would have, like, everything averaged out from 2021 to about $50, including like the 2 car washes that I got in the last year. Now, medical expenses, they put as $50. And once again, I have no clue where that came from. I had said that my medical expenses are $400. So I don't know if they put that toward my discretionary or what, but as y'all know, I don't do it as like medical. I count my spending as health and beauty. So I would have rather this said medical / health / beauty or something, and it be $400. And that is what I gave. I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of where the 50 came from is because I remember him asking, like, how much do I pay for a prescription? And I did have a prescription for a few months at the time, and I said 50 because that's what I was paying out of pocket. That's not my medication right now, though. And then subscriptions, $27. That is accurate. That's Netflix, Spotify, and then LingoPie. So if you add up everything that I mentioned in like the gross spending, including my taxes and like the student loan, yeah, all that stuff, it adds up to $7,270 gross, okay? And if we multiply that by 12, that's $87,000 per year. That's too high. This is just a snapshot of 1 month. So remember, that's not gonna be like 100% accurate. So if I took like a basically perfect average of everything, that's what it would add up to. But as y'all know, my income was about $81,000 for 2021. However, if we follow the numbers that I said just now, which I'll put up on the screen, everything adds up to $5,542. And if you multiply that by 12, it's a salary of $66,500, which makes a lot more sense. So that would be after my taxes and everything like that. I know that's all like a lot, but hopefully that clarifies some things. I will say that things were moved around, so sure, discretionary can say 1,000. I do not spend 1,000 in discretionary. It is closer to 750 if we include all those things, but I personally don't see it that way. I don't just see it as like, oh, here's my money spent. You know what I'm saying? Now, the final thing I want to talk about are just a few of the things that I saw in the comment section. Now, the comment section was pretty nasty, especially on like Graham Stephan's video. There were a lot of like either inappropriate comments or just rude comments, putting me down, etc. But my first reminder is that, well, first of all, let me say that if I'm directing something to y'all, of course, that doesn't mean I'm directing what I'm saying to my loyal subscribers and supporters. Y'all are amazing. I saw tons of you supporting me in the comment section, and then of course on my videos. So this isn't toward y'all. This is in case anybody comes or if anybody's curious about the questions that were mentioned in the comment section of the Millennial Money video. The first thing I want to reiterate is that this video is literally just showing a snapshot of my life right now, and a budget that is not going to be 100% perfect because, well, the numbers are a bit inaccurate, but like even if we tried to do that, like the numbers that I just gave you are never going to be 100% accurate because my spending changes on a month-to-month basis. And going along with that, I saw some people saying like, oh, at this rate, she's not going to be able to reach financial independence in her 40s. Like, she's spending way too much money. But again, like I'm 28 years old and my spending right now does not reflect what I'll be spending in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. So just keep in mind that my income is going to continue to increase and my expenses are going to decrease, because right now I live in a luxury apartment by myself in a like city close to the main city of Atlanta. Within the next few years, I will likely either move into a house of my own, or if my boyfriend purchases a house, like I don't know what the path is going to be exactly, but I would move in with him and pay his, like, you know, some of his mortgage, and that would be a lot cheaper than the $1,500 or so that I'm paying by myself right now. So yeah, people are literally like taking this one video and letting that define the whole financial outlook of my life, and that completely doesn't make sense. I saw quite a few people saying that I am underpaid as a Salesforce consultant. Yes, I am. However, I literally, before this job, which I started on March 1st, 2022, I had no experience in Salesforce, okay? So I worked on a project as a part of the program. I'll talk about my career transition. That'll probably be like next week. I'll talk about the Talent Stacker program, etc. Because a lot of people are curious how you get into Salesforce. I don't work at Salesforce, FYI. I am a Salesforce consultant though for a Salesforce consulting firm. Yes, my income is low because I have no experience. I literally just started March 1st. My base salary is $60K and I get a 10% bonus assuming I hit my hours. And that should be increasing. I do expect to be making six figures within the next couple of years, because either I'm going to get that from my current job or I will go to a different job. I have no clue yet. But as of right now, I am very fresh to this. I have only been studying Salesforce since March of 2021. So for me to go from a job as a microbiologist to a completely different industry, making $60K is pretty decent. As a Salesforce consultant, you can make way more money, but if you have experience, and I don't have that yet. I also saw that some people were saying I wasted my money by going, you know, being a biology major, getting my master's degree, that was so stupid to get my master's degree. Keep in mind my master's was paid for. I don't think that was said in the video. I remember mentioning it, but they didn't include that part because my tuition was paid for. I did continue taking out student loans, so the $50,000 came from undergrad and grad school, but my tuition was paid for. This was a great opportunity. Getting my master's degree was not a waste. I don't consider college for me as a waste. I still made use of my degrees for 4 years of my life, and to me, that is fine. I just decided that I no longer wanted to be a microbiologist, so I decided to switch careers. And that happens. Like, there are people who switch careers later on in life. There are many, many people who don't use their college degrees, and I wouldn't say I regret college. I don't love that I have debt, but I don't regret it because it has shaped me into who I am. I don't think it was a stupid decision. Yes, you can get into Salesforce for way cheaper and you do not need a college degree, but yeah, that's just the path I happen to follow. I made a decision at 18, changed my mind a few years later, changed my mind a few years later, and who knows what will happen going forward. I saw a few people asking, how do you still have that much debt while making X amount of money? So I think they put like 65K or whatever. So the first thing to point out here is that I have not always made $81,000 per year. Like, that was 2021. And this year I should make a little bit more, but it's not going to be like over six figures. The other thing is that, yeah, I wasn't making money from side hustles before. It was not much money, so I barely was using that. It was like I was paying for taxes and helping to pay for my bills. I didn't start making money from my side hustles until 2021, or like significant money. The other thing is that for the past 3 years, I have lived on my own. So yes, my expenses are higher, meaning I can't put as much money toward my debt. This was a decision of my own, but that is why. Like, I don't understand how people can't see the logic of that. Like, of course, I would pay off my debt faster if I was living at home or if I was living with somebody else. I chose to live on my own, so it has made it more of a challenge. I prefer for it to be like this. but that's why. Like, I'm also the type of person who still wants to enjoy life while I'm paying off debt. So I have traveled throughout this time. Obviously, I had a lot of health issues last year, so I paid a lot of money for medical stuff. I had a couple of surgeries, and I went to acupuncture. I was going to the doctors multiple times. I was going to multiple different types of doctors and paying copays at all of those. So as you can imagine, it all adds up, and it's never like black and white. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things in between that, and I can't, just because I'm making 80K doesn't mean I'm able to put half of that toward my debt. Like, I also live and do things outside of debt. So I think that's just a rude statement in general for people to say. And obviously people are just have their little anonymous fingers going behind the screen, and that's just the nature of YouTube and the internet. But I hate when people say that stuff, because it's like, I have a platform here and people see what I'm doing, and if they're doing anything below me, and if people are seeing those comments like, how are you not able to pay off X amount in X amount because you make this much money? But there are people who make more money than me and have more debt than me or less debt than me, and they're not able to pay it off because everybody's situation is different. And I think that's really discouraging for a lot of people. I'm very proud of how much debt I've paid off, and this is just like the reminder to it's okay. Like, if whatever path you're taking right now, that is your journey, and everybody's is different, and no situation is black and white. Something else I saw was they were like, your insurance seems high for a 28-year-old. Again, that was like, my insurance before was $546. My insurance now is over $500 as well, between medical, vision, and dental. I only pay $5, and then my company pays the rest. But like, that's normal. I don't know. I live in America. Like, the insurance here is really expensive. I chose the most expensive plan for this job. My previous job, that was just like the only plan I could choose, or I could go on my own. It was really, really good coverage. And I saw somebody point out, like, she has Crohn's disease, that's why her insurance is so high. No, my Crohn's disease has nothing to do with my insurance. My insurance was like always the same with my previous job. They increased it like annually or whatever they did, but it wasn't because of my Crohn's that it was so expensive. Same with right now. It's not because of my Crohn's that it's so expensive. Like, yeah, my medication is $6,000 a month, and my insurance covers that. Like, it doesn't increase my premium, if that makes sense. Then the final thing that I saw a lot of is people complaining that my numbers aren't like special. Where are the people who are struggling? Why are these people always YouTubers? That really just annoys me, because y'all realize that you have to apply. So if you want numbers similar to what you're earning and spending, like if you're making 30K a year or whatever the case may be, you're more realistic and you don't have side hustles like YouTube and blogs and stuff, then apply. Like, you have to apply. Those people have to apply. And they don't, because this is what like, I put all of my life on the internet. I put all of my money on the internet, and most people aren't even comfortable talking about money. So I'm okay with sharing this to CNBC, and I'm getting a lot of hate for it, but like, I don't really care at the end of the day. So I think a lot of people can't handle that. They don't want to put their numbers out there because they're scared of what people will say, or they just in general don't want to talk about their finances in case anybody sees it in their personal life. For me, I love talking about money. I like to document all of my journey, and I'm okay with people seeing it that are in my life. So yeah, if the numbers are unrealistic, which doesn't make sense, because everything that I've done in my life is replicable. I have a couple of degrees, so that had allowed me to get a pretty solid career, and I was making over 60K, which isn't even that much, but like, that's very realistic. Lots of people can do that. I also switched careers. Lots of people can do that. I chose to do it. I started my side hustles several years ago. I have stayed consistent. I have kept on going, and it has paid off. Other people can do that. You can create a YouTube channel if you want to. You can create blogs. You can start coaching, whatever it is that you want to do. It's all replicable. So I hate when I see comments like that, where it's even, sometimes I get it on my channel, like, oh, this isn't relatable because you're getting referrals, you're getting this from people. Like, that comes naturally. Like, I'm creating content, I'm putting myself out there. So that's what comes with doing that. And yeah, if you want more realistic numbers, even though mine are realistic, just like everybody else's on that channel, then you have to apply. Okay, this video is way too long. So as I said, the timestamps will be down below because I know y'all probably don't want to hear me talk about every single thing here, but hopefully that cleared up some things. The numbers aren't too horrible now that I look at it, but you can see now like where the confusion came in and why there was a lot of miscommunication. Overall, I'm very, very grateful. I really appreciate the producer, the editors, all of them. They were super friendly, and I don't think it was done purposefully or anything like that. It is just, it's upsetting because I didn't want those numbers out there. I wish I could have seen it, of course, and I would have liked to see a little bit more content in my videos and the audio to be better, but everybody did amazing. Everybody was super friendly, and I am so grateful for the opportunity because it has allowed my channel to grow even more, and it's just very cool, a very cool experience, and not many people can say that they were like associated with CNBC, so I'm very proud and grateful. Also very grateful to y'all for your support. Thank you so much for being here for me even before all of this, and welcome to the new subscribers. I appreciate you looking past the numbers and the hate in the comments and coming here to support me, and hopefully you stick around. Please comment down below if there's any questions or things that I didn't address about the CNBC video, but I think I covered everything. And if you have any video recommendations or things that you want to see, also feel free to comment that down below. But again, thank you so, so much. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. It really supports my channel, and I'll see you in my next video.